everybody. Welcome to Creative Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together to experience and express the grandest divine idea of ourselves, each other, and of spirit. And we do that in really remarkable ways, including with our music. And I really get that whole can't remember the lyrics thing, because I say the same benediction at the end of service every week after the peace song, and I can't remember it.
What you need to understand is I've been working with chemicals for the last 30 years of my life, and there's nothing.
We'll give them a hand. Oh, we are also surrounded in love and prayer by our practitioner corps, and those folks are our licensed spiritual counselors. And Jana is with me on stage this morning. Thank you. Yes, we can clap for her too, because we love her. And she and Brooke are both available for prayer after service. Jana will be up in the library. And
Actually, we're going to be in the teen room in your office, because we're going to put chairs in here.
Okay, they changed things. I don't know nothing. I also have much gratitude this morning for several people. One, for Carol Humphreys, who happened to be here yesterday when the hallway started to flood and ran home to call me. And Matt, who dropped everything and ran over here to kind of do a what the heck's going on for me. And so for he and Brooke both, who had planned on dinner and movie night apparently. And then I made a couple calls, one of which was to James McCrary, and who said to me, I got it, don't worry about it. And then they came over here with a crew and some shop vacs and cleaned it all up. And Matt helped, stayed and helped, and thank you so much. I was getting my hair cut and still wanted to spend time on my talk for today. And do you ever have any part of your job that's just like the thing that you just go, oh. Like, I love my job. I don't mind paying the bills. I don't mind the business part. I love ministry. But building maintenance makes me want to stab myself in the head. It's the thing. When somebody calls and goes, there's something wrong with the building, I just go, oh, I am not a contractor. That is not why I went to ministerial school. And so blessed you all so much for just jumping up and taking care of that. I so appreciate that. I was imagining being here at 6 o'clock in the morning with the shop vac. And all right, enough about me. Thank you. So this is that time of the day that we get to take a deep breath. If you haven't had one all week, take 3 and just center down into that beloved space in your being that knows where spirit is as it anchors into this room and into this space. Take that breath that allows you this time to be here, to leave behind your work and your list and all of those things and just be here now. And we'll take a moment in that glorious silence. We'll surround our farmers with that love and care and knowing that all of life regenerates. And then we'll sing, and then Jana's going to pray us in.
Avunda Bashmaya. O Father, Mother, birther of the cosmos, source of the shimmering sound that comes to us from the beyond, in the roar of the whirlwind and the whisper of the breeze, we hear your name. Nitkadesh Shmak. Create within me, within us, a sacred spaciousness, an empty, hollow place, hallowed for your name to dwell. Tete Malkuta. And into that space, pour your vision for our lives. Nahwe Sivyana Aikana Devashmaya Af Ba'arha. And with that vision, let our will unite with ours so that all that we say, all that we do, and all that we are is congruent with bringing about heaven here on earth. Havlan Lakma Desun Kananya Omana. Give us what we need this day in bread and insight for our journey. And hold that thought for all of Greeley, so we know that no person here hungers. Washboklan Halbain Wakta Hain Ikanada Hanan Shwakanal Hayabain. Untie the tangled knots we hold of others' mistakes, even as we scrub our own hearts clean of the shame our mistakes bring us. Wela takvan lenesuna ela pasan min bisha. Don't let us be deluded by surface things. Let us always remember who and what and whose we are. And let us be ripe, ready, at the right time and the right place to bring about the glory of God on earth. Metul de la he malkuta, wahaila wateshbukta, lahalam amin amen. From gathering to gathering, from time to time, from age to age, this prayer renews itself and renews our hearts, and we let it be the ground from which all our future actions grow. Please can't claim this truth for yourself by saying with me, and so it is. That was the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. And our reading today is from a great book called Prayers for Healing. I highly recommend this book, and this is today's prayer. It's a Pueblo blessing. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree that stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to life, even if it is easier to let go. Hold on to my hand, even if I have gone away from you.
So, movie summer is, we've only got 3 more, I think, so eat up that popcorn. Because it's gonna go away till maybe next summer, I don't know. 3 times with me. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. So, I wanted to ask you to keep this little phrase in mind for today. It's actually something, kind of a quote that floats around ministerial school and ministerial events that somebody said, another minister, Reverend Mike Baker, said a long time ago, and I think it applies directly to life as well. And I was reminded of it. I'd completely forgotten it, and I was reminded of it recently, and it's been in my brain a lot. So now it gets to be in yours. And what he said was, your life can either be a reflection of your spiritual magnificence or of your unhealed past. You want that again?
Yeah.
Your life can either be a reflection of your spiritual magnificence or your unhealed past. So I keep that in mind today. So while I watched the movie again, The Odd Life of Timothy Green. Now, I saw this movie the first time on an airplane, and in the little screen, and I missed a lot. There is something to the larger screen. Maybe that's part of my age. But who's seen it? Oh, wow, okay, cool. So the thing about movie, when you watch it the second time, is you kind of know what's coming. So I cried basically through the entire movie. Yeah, so there are beautiful, real spiritual messages in this film, a lot of them. But the ones that really stood out, there was a couple that really stood out for me. The first was this thing of of wanting and longing. You know, have you ever wanted something so deeply and so intensely that it kind of owns you? You know, these are not the I want a new car kind of wants. These are the longings of our soul to feel loved, to feel connected, to be able to share love with somebody else, to belong. You know, those sort of wants. And then, because you're a good church-going religious scientist, you do your work, and you pray, and you vision, and you visualize, and you imagine, and you think, and you breathe, and you sit in the stillness, and nothing happens sometimes. And so you pray harder, and you vision more, and you focus, and sometimes by then we start to forget to breathe a little bit, but we try to remember to breathe, but we get tighter, and we get tighter and tighter with that longing and that want. And then we get sometimes sad or frustrated because or mad, or we start to tell ourselves that we must not deserve it, or we've done something wrong, or we get mad at God because it hasn't happened yet. But we keep looking and we keep praying, but it changes from a little bit from that space of, you know, we start out with that, I know that all that I desire is available to me and is moving through my life right now, and God is marvelous, to that place of, okay, God, really? I asked for love, not patience. And in case you were confused about that, we're clearing that up, and let's bring it on. And sometimes what I see in people is that there's this fork in the road place at this point. And you know that we're coming down this road, and we're trying to be in this place of stillness, and we're being in our whatever, you know, in our spiritual best, call it. And we get to this spot where we've been waiting and longing, and it's pulling, and we can move one way, we can turn this way, and we can move to this place where we get bitter and we get angry, and we decide that nothing ever happens that I want, that nothing good ever happens. I do all this work and nothing happens, and we stop going to church, and we stop surrounding ourselves with people who hold us up, and we separate ourselves, and we just get mad and bitter and angry, and life is hard, and then we die. Or we move to the other side of the road, and we move into this possibility of continuing to live in each moment. We recognize that sometimes that these things take time because there's learning along the way, that it's not about the end game, it's about the journey. And we remember that, and we stay open, and maybe we receive what we want. And maybe what we discover is that what we wanted has been there all the time, and it doesn't look like what we thought it was going to look like. Or it shows up in our life, and it just simply doesn't have the form that we imagined. And oftentimes that form is a much greater expression than we could have imagined because it's been gifted to us. Now, in this movie, our main characters, Cindy and Jim, they want to have a child, and they are in that longing place. And somebody finally says to them, it's not going to happen for you. This form is not going to happen for you. And they go home, and they're sad. And Cindy, she's having a good cry in her garden. And she storms into the room, and she is just going to swallow it all and move on. Now, I see people do this all the time. They're just going to tough it out. We're going to swallow it. And it's not like I've never done this. We're going to swallow it. We're going to hold it in. We're not going to feel it because it hurts too much. And we're going to allow it to encase some part of our heart in that hardness of I can't have. But Jim, he can't do that on this one. He just can't. So he's like, hang on a minute. Hang on, I cannot swallow this. I have too much grief about what I thought might be. I have grief about the possibilities. Now, you know, in speaking with people who are ending relationships or have parts of their lives that are changing, who are in life transformation, I try to remind people that not only are we grieving this thing that we had here, we are also grieving often the thing that we thought we were going to have. We are grieving what we thought was going to unfold in our life and how our life we thought it was going to look. And sometimes we have to do that before we can really be in a place of appreciating what is. Now he says, so he gets her, Jim gets Cindy to imagine with him. He says, imagine that I need to imagine with me what our child would have been like. And so they sit there and they write these qualities down on pieces of paper, and they make a stack of them. And then when the grief gets just too overwhelming, they take those pieces of paper and they put them in a box. Sorry. And they bury them in the garden. And they let it go. And they let it go and they go to bed. And then this crazy storm happens that I couldn't actually see on the TV on the airplane. Which kind of changed the tone of it a little bit. But it's done for them now. Now, here's the thing. We talk about affirmative prayer here a lot. And then we have this structure of affirmative prayer that we teach. And at the end of that prayer, after all of the connection and what it is that I want to experience, and thank you for all that is, there is this place that says, I release my word into the law of mind, and I let it go and let God. Which is really, a very jargony way of saying, I let this go and I let God handle it. And then, especially if we are in that deep longing in our soul place, this is the hardest part, the letting go. The letting go and letting God. It's the hardest part because it is so hard to really let go and trust that Spirit has it handled. And so we plant these seeds of desire and we say we let them go, and then we continually think about it and wonder what it's like. And it's like if we planted a zucchini seed, and I think zucchini is a perfect example right now. We planted a zucchini seed and we kept digging it up to see if it has roots yet. We dig it up and we examine it to death. Is it growing? Is it growing as fast as the neighbor's zucchini? Is it growing as fast as the one next to it? Do I deserve the zucchini when it comes out of the ground? Can I make this much bread? And we hamper its ability to actually take root and to become what it is meant to become. But the thing about zucchini, and the reason I think it's such a great example today, the thing about zucchini is that if you let it be, and then you really let it be, and you pick some of them, but you leave one sitting there, it becomes lots more zucchini. Again and again and again. So Cindy and Jim, they plant this box and they mentally walk away, and it feels like they have made a space in themselves. They've emptied themselves of some grief, and they've made a space within themselves for something else to show up in their life. And it does. In a way that only in movie land happens. It shows up in the form of a child that comes from the garden, who's like 10 or 11 and has leaves growing on his legs, and who shows up in the middle of the night calling them mom and dad. And his name is Timothy, and he seems to know things. He's like an old soul. And here's the thing, Cindy and Jim, they could have totally stayed in their grief and rejected this. They could have said, this is totally not possible, and called the police. They could have reacted they could have reacted 1,000 different ways, but they recognized something miraculous happening in their midst in that moment, and step by step, they simply said yes to that. Okay, there's this kid in my kitchen. Or, okay, there's this kid that needs a shower really badly in my house. Okay, where I put the box is all dug up in the garden and I don't understand it, but I'm gonna just go with it. Because what I really wanted was to share love. And here's an opportunity to do that. And they did it one breath at a time, one miracle at a time, and they embraced and they fell in love with this little boy. Now, it was not how they thought it was going to look at all. And in fact, Cindy's sister actually says to her, which you know, is one of those moments when you want to reach through the television and slap someone. I thought you were trying to have a real child. Like, adopted kids are somehow not real. Which I want to say right now is another movie that we don't have to watch because we all know better. But then they did what every parent does. They had amazing, fabulous parenting moments, and they had moments of total parent failure. And in this case, what that seemed to look like to me was putting all of their unhealed stuff, their insecurities, their difficult relationships with their sisters and fathers, their feelings of unworthiness, and they unconsciously piled them onto their expectations, and they called them wants for this little boy, Timothy. Now, like, he's going to score the game-winning point in the soccer game, and that's going to fix all the years that Jim's father didn't come to games, right? And this separation there. Now, Timothy, on the other hand, he is this amazing little old soul who seems to find joy in every moment, no matter what craziness is going on around him. And every once in a while, he stops and closes his eyes and spreads his arms out, and just when the sun peeks out, and he just soaks it up. Have you ever done that? Mm-hmm. But you know how we usually do it? We see it, and we kind of like look up for a second, and then we go, oh, is anybody looking? And we move on. And he didn't care what anybody thought or what anybody felt about it. He would just stand there and absorb it. Just close your eyes and feel yourself do that for a minute. When the sun peeks out and it's still cool out, but it's warm in the sun, and you just fill up with that total energy. You can feel the energy of it moving through you. And you could see him in those moments doing that. And then he instantly falls in love with the other little girl in town who doesn't quite fit in. And they have this remarkable, remarkable friendship in this very short time. So the thing about Timothy is that everyone who comes into contact with him is in some way uplifted. You know, they don't know how, they don't even always recognize it, but they are feeling something extraordinary. It's like he holds up a mirror to them, and they get to see their own magnificence. And they remember who they are. You know, his dad remembers that he has notebooks of ideas and inventions and things, and his mom starts to paint, and cranky old women remember that they're beautiful. And someone finds his laughter right before he leaves this life experience. And it doesn't happen. The thing is, it doesn't actually happen. Those things don't happen because he's any different than the rest of us. I mean, he's as different as all of us are different from each other, because we're all kind of different from each other. Thank goodness, because how boring would it be if we were not? But what he did or didn't do, I guess, is that a lot of us, we take our differences and we look at ourselves and we say, okay, this is different about me than it is about everybody else. Nobody else has this. Like I could say, nobody else has brown hair and blue eyes. And I am going to make myself feel separate, and I'm going to pull myself away from people because of that. And we do that, and he didn't do that. He said, yeah, I'm different, and that's cool. And that's really great. And, you know, there is this huge difference between recognizing the things that make us different and separating ourselves because of the things that are different about us. Because we can remember that everyone's a little bit different. And every time we look at the other in ourselves, or we hold that otherness in other people, then we get the opportunity to recognize the untruth of that. Because the truth is that we are all in this collective soup together, and that we have way more in common than we have that separates us. But I like to think that every time I choose to not hold the other of myself, it helps me not choose the other in other people, or to see the other in other people and separate them from me because of it, which then helps me to not separate myself because of the other, which helps me to not separate others because of their differences. And every time I remember to do that, I feel like I get to take a little chip out of the iceberg of separation in the world. Now, there was another really amazing lesson from Timothy to me in this movie. And, you know, because you see, as most of you know, he had this, and I'm sorry, I might spoil the movie a little bit if you haven't seen it yet, but watch it anyway, because then you just get to cry through the whole thing. He has these leaves on his leg, as one for every one of these sort of hopes and dreams that his parents had planted in the ground. And he knows what they mean. He's the only one who knows what they mean. And he is the only one that knows ultimately what that means. So each time he completes some part of this, like making somebody laugh and having this amazing little sense of humor, each time he connects with another person and fulfills one of these dreams, one of these leaves falls off. And each time he loses a leaf, he actually completes a part of his time here on this earth experience. Now, I like to think that in the same situation, I could be as gracious with that information as he is. But the truth is I would probably hoard a little bit. You know, I would hold on I might hold on a little tightly to some of those things, and I might ask those questions of, you know, does this person really deserve my one happy leaf? Does this person deserve this one leaf where I get to make you laugh? And I might look at this in a limited way. Does this person deserve my dollar? You know, like Laura was just saying. Does this person deserve my dollar? And I might hoard and hold on and to see who deserved. You know what I mean here? But Timothy understands that what he has to offer the world is gifts. And what he says is that he gave them all away because that is what you do with gifts. That is what you do with them, as you give them away. So my question for you today is, could you share every gift you have to offer if you knew it would bring you closer to the end of your life here? Just easily and freely give them away. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, wrote, "Life is an eternal givingness, the offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. Everything moves in circles. We short-circuit our own good when we refuse to pass it on." Now, Timothy's ability to give on the surface seems very finite, and supporting us and surrounding us all of the time. And his just seems finite. But by giving these gifts freely and without reservation and without holding back and without condition, he changes people's lives. And he understands that those life changes, those things that he has given that have changed other people's experience of this life, go on and live on for a long, long time, and that is infinite. Because when you help one person find their laughter, they find it for others, and so on and so on. We are not, fortunately, defined by a set number of gifts or leaves or fixed number of times that we can give things away. We live in this infinite universe, but we get to choose. And that's the thing that we get. We get to choose. Do we stand in our spiritual magnificence or in our unhealed past? Our spiritual magnificence knows how infinite we are. Our unhealed past may include places where we felt lack. And we can live in that, or we can live in infinite. So my prayer for you this day, each and every one of you, is that you find just how supported and loved you are as you share what you came here to share. You know, you are not here on this planet by accident. We are here by divine appointment. We have been called here to this experience, and your gifts are wanted and needed. The world is longing for what you have to share in that deep longing sort of way. So may you scatter those gifts like the leaves in the wind. And we had good wind example, didn't we? And so all I guess I have to say is go in love today. Go in love, and peace be with you. Who wants prayer? And so as we anchor into the stillness of this moment and the quiet of and the reflection of our spiritual magnificence. Who are you in your spiritual magnificence? Who are you in your spiritual magnificence? And as we call forth that place of knowing within ourselves that connects absolutely with the divine, absolutely with God, right here and right now, we can feel that presence moving through us. We can feel that presence as us, just giving it away, whatever it is. And allowing the world to know our magnificence and our gifts and why we are here. And so as we each and every one of us connect in our own way with that sense of the divine, I simply ask that we surround all of those who are feeling disconnected, who are feeling separate and different. We hold them in a place of knowing love and acceptance and joy, of finding the place within themselves that says that I am a gift and I am here to share. And having that gift be accepted with thanks and love. Because this universe, this life, it is a place of reciprocity and movement, the in-breath and the out-breath. So as we give, we receive. And as we give and someone says thank you, we are held in that place that says, I am appreciated. So I know this day that there is healing for each person here, for each person connected with us who is wanting or desiring any sort of healing of any kind in heart, mind, or body. That there is a connection that goes much deeper than the surface calling, that reminds us of who we are. I hold this space for those who have been affected by this storm in any way, knowing that there are farmers and ranchers, our farmers, that they are in the place of knowing that regeneration and growth happens. And that because of that, we continue to be able, that we continue to just simply hold this space that says that everyone in this community has enough. For I know this to be true, and I know that it is possible through God. And I just give great thanks. I give such thanks for people who love their spiritual community so much that they will drop everything and come and take care of it. I give thanks for the rain, hard as it was, that quenches the drought. I give thanks for all who come here and share their gifts in whatever way that is. I give thanks simply for this coming together of hearts and minds and souls in this wonderful place we call CCSL every Sunday morning. And I give thanks for all that is, and that is enough. And if you would like to claim this for yourself, please simply join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. This morning, Laura was like, I don't think this music is going to match your talk today.
Oh,
Wow. Perfect. So we get to share stories of the good that is happening in our lives, and y'all know the drill. So if you'd like to come up.
Okay, James, I have my dollars today.
Okay, feel better.
This first dollar is for Brooke and Matt, who give so much to this community and who are such a huge part of the community. I'm so grateful for them. This dollar is for the McCrearys, who are like such a blessing. The minute you walked in the door, we are so happy for you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And this dollar is because I'm having separation anxiety from Jack.
I know. I think we're gonna have a little more separation anxiety.
So I'm taking Jana's self-mastery class, and I just feel this huge spiritual opening. And a couple of weeks ago, we went out here, and I said, I feel like my life is going to change really drastically, and I have this really anxious feeling. So Jana prayed for me to go through that easily and effortlessly. And now I kind of know what's going on.
Oh. Yes, we've had our house for sale since, what was it, 1941? Only a few months. Seemed like a long time. Anyway, we have a contract on the house. But we have to be out in about, what, hour and a half?
At the end of August.
August 30th.
This month.
So we have,
No,
yeah, we're gonna be vagabonds, but we have a place in Florida, and so we're gonna go earlier to Florida than what we had planned. So we don't have to house payment or utilities, except for, our stuff there. So we're real excited about it, and we are very blessed.
When are you coming back?
We'll be back in spring. We're gonna try to come back for Christmas. And, he never liked me.
I want to be happy for you, and
Yeah, we love you.
we love
We
you,
really
and I'm
don't.
happy for you, and oh my
And
God.
we love everyone here.
And Timothy Green things have been happening to us too. I
We have a
mean,
little
everything-
kid that's-
No. This little household, this baritone, and this little boy came Friday night, and he only had one arm, and it was just the cutest thing you ever saw. He fell in love with this baritone, so they took it.
Picked it up, played
And
it
then-
like that.
I know, it was crazy. And then, this couple that has 2 little boys are buying our pop-up. And so I just think all these things are coming together perfectly. He told me that the house would sell by the end of July, and our contract came on July 31st. Our realtor's going, really? What else can you predict?
You're gimping.
Yeah, I moved a chair and then forgot to move it back and got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and kicked it. It hurts really, really bad. But I laugh, and this was such an affirmation of how powerful the words are that we speak. When we were singing the song, and it said something about, when the walls of fear crumble to dust. And I heard that this morning, and I'm like, well, that just happened to me. Well, you've been claiming it every Sunday, And then Barb was talking about how Timothy reminded the cranky old lady that she was beautiful. Well, this cranky old lady was Cindy's boss. And in the situation that she's talking about, he draws a picture of her. But what Cindy says prior to that, when she's explaining the case, anyway, you gotta see the movie, is, no, don't do this to me. She's really cranky, and Cindy takes Timothy with her to work. And he just walks up and starts talking to her, and, is real honest about this pain he made of her. And she said he didn't know that he was supposed to be intimidated by her. And that was so huge, because I've lived all my life just assuming that I'm going to be intimidated by everybody. So, hi. Yay. Hey there.
I have a happy dollar because we're moving back to Eaton.
It's the school she wants to go back to. By the way, the dollar thing is not required, just to be clear about that. It's awesome, but it's not required.
I'm very happy because my mom is doing much better. I
so appreciate all of the prayers and the positive energy everyone was sending. We almost lost her, and she's still got a tracheotomy and still working on getting her own lungs to function and everything, but she's doing better every day, and she's awake. And my dad called so excited yesterday with having seen my mom wake up and eyes weren't all glazed over, and he was just so excited. He's like, we've got her back. So
Yeah.
here's my happy dollars.
All right, can I have the ushers, please? It is time to share our gifts and tithes and offerings, and if you would like to just take a moment and recognize these gifts as the things that we give and the things that we receive, and the things that we give and the things that we receive, and all of the blessings that come with that. And just repeat after me. I see this expanding my life.
I see this expanding my life.
And so, joyfully, I share my good with life. And so it is.